I put my hands in the gravel and I was holding the gravel and I was like, I fucking lived. I was like, holy shit, I lived. I'm alive. And it became real to me that I lived when I was holding the gravel in my hands, and I just lost it. I just started crying. Hey bitch, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is, I'm nervous, okay? I'm nervous. I have not done this ever. I've never rewatched this video ever. I even went to trauma therapy for 9 months after this, and I have never seen this video. So I'm not excited, to say the least, to see this video. A lot of you guys were asking me before I leave if I would re-watch my near-death experience for the first time and give you guys kind of a breakdown. I've had a lot of time to think back on this and think back on what happened and what I experienced and what went wrong. So I have a better understanding of this to tell you guys. Also, to answer everybody's question, no, I have not been skydiving again. This was the one and only time I've been skydiving, and if you have an experience like what I've experienced, you definitely wouldn't want to go back. But before we get into watching my near-death experience skydiving, I just want to say a big thank you to this video's sponsor, which is, of course, always Animal Nutrition Calculator. It's really very self-explanatory. You basically get a detailed nutritional analysis of everything that your animal needs nutrition-wise by using their one-time access calculators. All of their nutrition calculators are just $4.99, which is literally less than a cup of coffee. It's really amazing. It's incredibly self-explanatory. I won't go on and on about it. I know so many of you guys love them. So you guys can click my link down below and use code LINK25 for 25% off your purchase. You won't regret it. Thanks again to Animal Nutrition Calculator. Let's get to it. My life completely changed after this day. And I know that that sounds really dramatic to say, but honestly, I really thought I was gonna die. And this happened exactly 5 years ago. Exactly. I think to the date that I'm filming this happened 5 years ago. I've never watched the video. I've literally never watched this video. I got my brother to give me the video and I uploaded it onto YouTube. I've never seen it. I'm gonna watch it all the way through. Hopefully I can make it. I literally have butterflies right now. I feel so nervous to watch this.
Hey Raleigh, what is going on today? What are you doing here in this black harness that says
skydiving?
Skydiving? Awesome. That must be what this crazy black harness is all about that says danger on the back of it, right?
I know, right.
Well, cool. You were telling me earlier you're a bit of an adrenaline junkie, so this should be a piece of cake for you, right?
I'm excited. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to be feeling once I get up there because this never happened to me before, but
exactly.
I'm excited. I think I'm going to do great.
I think you will too. You've got a little bit of tunnel time. That always helps just a little bit. But even if you don't do any of that stuff that I told you, I'm still going to get you back down safe and sound,
all right,
okay?
Awesome. Sounds good.
You have any last words for friends or family on the ground before we take off?
I love my horse and no one else. Just go die.
Awesome. Well, we'll take good care of you. Get you back to your horse, okay? All right. See you in the sky.
Okay.
All right, Raleigh. Here we go to the plane.
I don't mean to pause, but I do want to say that I actually met my husband on this day. He was in the plane with us, and he actually jumped out with my brother right before I did. So that's a cool thing that I just remembered was my husband's actually walking behind us in this video. He wasn't my husband at the time. I didn't know him, but he was the one who actually called the ambulance and everything for us when we got down to the ground. So that's a cool thing. I just remembered that just now that I met my husband on this day. Most traumatic day of my life.
Still think you're ready for this?
I am, yeah.
I think you are too. I think you're going to do great. Well, let's go get on this plane and see how much fun we can have hurling out of that plane, okay? Awesome. All right, Raleigh, we have blast on. Hey, Raleigh, how you doing?
I am doing great. I'm going to scream this now. I'm doing great.
Still enjoying the plane ride so far?
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. Well, I got something to tell you. Here we are. We're that camera thumbs up. You survived your first malfunction. Great job. Good job, all right? Good job. Okay, you okay?
Well, that was harder than I expected, to be honest. The weirdest thing about rewatching this is I had a completely different experience than what I'm seeing on camera. It was way worse. It was way worse than what you even see on camera. Like, normally I don't scream. I'm usually very calm and collected in emergency situations, which I've been in emergency situations before. I know a lot of people say that, but they've never experienced a real emergency. So you would never know how you react unless you're in a situation like that. But I do know how I would react, and I have always reacted very calmly in emergency situations. I never scream, ever. There's one part in the video which I am going to go back through and explain, but there's one part in the video where you hear me scream. I just remember what was going through my head in that moment was I wasn't screaming because I was falling. I was screaming because I was like, that's it. That was my life, and I'm going to die. And that's why I screamed. Because it was a realization that I was like, that's it, you know? Man, that's rough. Basically, my brother, like I said, is a professional skydiver and wingsuiter, and he actually base jumps now, even though I don't think anybody's happy about that. My husband also is friends with my brother. That's how I met my husband. My brother and my husband wingsuited and skydived together in Southern California. And my brother was sitting right in front of me on the plane. And they all were independent solo skydivers. So they jumped out of the plane before we did. I didn't hesitate jumping out of the plane. I just jumped right out. I was like, yeah, my brother and his buddies jumped out of the plane before us. I was like, let's go. You know, we were the last tandem skydive team to go. I wasn't going to not go. And the thing about skydiving that's really interesting is if you've ever been to an indoor skydiving place, it feels the same. So it doesn't actually feel like you're falling. It feels like you're floating on air. It's only the first 3 to 5 seconds after you jump out of the plane that you actually feel like you're falling. And it's not falling that you feel, it's acceleration. But the first 5 to 10 seconds is really scary. You can see when we jump out of the plane, it just is a sinking feeling. when you jump out. It's like the whole world gives away beneath you and there's nothing beneath you. And it's an incredibly overwhelming feeling right as you leave the plane. That's why you can see me kind of hold my breath, because I had never felt a feeling like that before. But something that's different about tandem skydives is tandem skydives have what's called a drogue chute. A drogue chute is a little mini parachute that's connected to your main parachute. And when you leave the plane, you're supposed to fall for a couple seconds. And then once both of you stabilize at a good speed and you're both on your stomachs, facing the ground, then the instructor is supposed to pull out the drogue chute. And basically what the drogue chute does is it opens up and it just kind of stabilizes the two of you as you're falling, and it slows you down a little bit to make the skydive longer, because when you're a solo skydiver, you don't need one of those. You're not as much weight as two people because you're just one person. Basically what happened is the instructor kind of fucked up. And I don't want to put blame on him because it wasn't intentional. I'm sure that he was just doing his thing and he just wasn't thinking. But basically when we exited the plane, we were still spinning, which is normal to do a few flips when you come out of the plane and then you both stabilize. As we were flipping out of the plane, he pulled out the drogue chute. I don't know why he did that. He shouldn't have done that until we stabilized, because then it got tangled between our legs and it snagged around my right ankle. And the first thing I felt was this pressure. I just felt pressure, and then it yanked us to where we were head down, feet up at the sky. And I just remember the first thing I thought was, I said, my foot's stuck. He couldn't hear me, but you can see me say that in the video. I was like, my foot's stuck. The first thing I did was I thought it was on my shoe. So I kicked off my shoe and I was kicking violently at the rope. I do remember that. I was like violently kicking at the rope to try to get the parachute off my foot, mostly because it hurt so bad, but also because I knew that drogue chute is connected to our main parachute. So if he pulled out the main parachute, it would rip my leg off. Seriously, it would. That's not an exaggeration. A parachute opening at, top speed as we're falling way faster than we should be because we're head down and we're not belly up, you know what I mean? So we're falling faster than we should be. The first thing I remember thinking after trying to kick it off my leg was I was looking around for a knife. I don't know why. I mean, we were in the air, so I knew there was no knife around, but I remember looking around for a knife because I was like, I'm going to try to cut this rope or I'm going to cut my leg off. And I really remember that going through my head. Then the tandem instructor started panicking, and you could see him try to wrap around me to get the drogue off my foot. But the way that it was tangled around my foot, it just wasn't going to come off. And it was hurting really bad because both of us together, we were like 300 pounds. And then the drogue trying to open was another 200 pounds. So it was just compressing down onto my foot and it was cutting into my ankle. It hurt so bad. But thankfully, that ankle is my metal ankle. So that's really legitimately the only reason why my ankle didn't break, is because that was my metal ankle. So otherwise my ankle would have snapped in half. But I knew that we were in trouble. I knew that we were falling way too quickly. I think the scariest thing about it was that I couldn't see the ground. That was what was the scariest thing to me, was we were spinning and all I remember seeing was my foot caught in the drogue chute. I just remember this sense of helplessness right before I screamed. And I just knew that I was going to die. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There was no, am I going to make it? It was, you're going to die. And I remember thinking, the last thing I thought about, it sounds so cheesy to say this, but it's true. The last thing I thought about was just a split second where I was like, I really wish I would have done a lot of things with my life, and now I'm not going to get a chance to do it. And it was just a split second that thought came across my mind. Because again, I couldn't see the ground, so I didn't know how close we were to hitting the ground. And I knew that you're only supposed to fall for about 50 seconds. And I at the time was perceiving time very slowly. So I had figured that we had been falling for like a minute. So I was like, we're fucked. We're going to hit the ground. My back all the way up to the top of my head got really hot, like burning hot, in anticipation for me hitting the ground. And I just remember thinking how painful it's going to be to hit the ground and die. And then I just remember I screamed, and then that was it. I don't remember anything else after that. After I screamed, my mind just went blank. It was just darkness, just everything was black. But during that time that I was essentially passed out, the instructor had cut away our main parachute, and you can see him do that. The reason he had to cut away the main, again, like I said, is because it's connected to the drogue, and then he had to pull the reserve parachute. Now, the reserve parachutes are the emergency chutes, and they come out a lot quicker. They deploy way faster than a standard parachute. So both of us had a concussion. You can see how violently it rips us from head down to head up in like a second, less than a second. Thankfully, by the grace of God, that parachute opened, because you run the risk of that parachute trying to open and getting stuck or tangled in the drogue chute that was on my leg. I also had bruising. I had severe bruising all the way down my chest, where the straps were, across my chest, inside my legs, where all the straps were, because of the violent opening of the emergency chute. It was really painful afterwards. Now, I don't remember the opening when it opened. I don't remember me breathing heavily. I don't remember any of that, because at the time I was like still not there mentally. I was like passed out. That's why it took me a few seconds to open my eyes, because my brain was like, are we dead? Are we dead? Did we die? I don't really remember having a conversation with him, but I guess I was just trying to be calm. I think I was just trying to cope and just be like, okay, let's wait until we get down to the ground. And then when we got to the ground, right before he cut off the camera, you can hear me start to cry. Now, I started crying because what I did when I got to the ground was, I remember I put my hands in the gravel and I was holding the gravel, and I was like, I fucking lived. I was like, holy shit, I lived. I'm alive. And it became real to me that I lived when I was holding the gravel in my hands, and I just lost it. I just started crying. And my husband said that he came over when I was crying, and he tried to ask me if I was okay and tried to ask the instructor. I don't remember any of that. Girl, all I remember was I was holding gravel in my hands for 20 minutes until the ambulance got there. I don't remember talking to anybody. I don't remember anybody coming over to me. I don't even remember the instructor clipping away from me. But my husband said that he came over to try to talk to us and see if we were okay, because it was obvious it was an emergency chute. He came over and he said the instructor was just glazed, that the instructor was not there either, and he was shaking. My husband said that he called 911, and my brother came over, and they all said that the instructor didn't say anything and was just shaking, connected to me. And then finally, when the ambulance got there, they had unclipped us from each other. And then they took the instructor around the back of the building, and they were asking him if he was okay. And somebody gave him a cigarette to try to get him to calm down, and he was shaking like really badly. I definitely didn't think we were going to live, but my instructor that I went with had over 1,000 skydives, and he didn't think we were going to live. And that's really scary. And I did find out later on that there were a couple of other people later that year that had experienced a similar malfunction skydiving. It was another tandem group like what we were, and they died. So, yeah. I mean, I feel really grateful to be here. And I went through probably 9 months of trauma therapy after my skydive. A lot of you guys know that I suffered a lot of abuse in my childhood. A lot of those memories I had suppressed. And the good thing about the skydive was, when the skydive happened, the way my trauma therapist explained it is it kind of opened a Pandora's box. And I started remembering, all the bad stuff that happened to me when I was a kid that I had suppressed in my brain that I didn't want to remember. And I was forced to deal with it and talk about it and get over it in therapy. And I think it was really good for me to do that. I think there was a reason why I experienced the skydive. I think there was a reason why it happened to me. I think a lot of good things came out of it. I met my husband that day, and, we're happily married. We've been together for 4 years. And I was able to deal with a lot of childhood trauma in the therapy that I took afterwards, which I think was necessary because I would have never been able to move on with my life had I not experienced that. And I think it really pushed me to do more with my life and to experience more and to enjoy my life and be grateful for the things that I have. I mean, I really have a new appreciation for life after experiencing that. I never wanted to have kids. Now I want to have kids. I never wanted to get married, and now I'm married, So I think it was really a good thing that I had experienced. I'm sorry I cried. It's just overwhelming. I don't like crying in front of people. Not that crying is bad, but I don't like crying in front of the camera. I think it's weird, and I think it's like playing to other people's emotions, which I don't like. But yeah, I'm glad I'm here. Anyway, I love you guys. Thanks again to Animal Nutrition Calculator. I'm so sorry to end this way, but I gotta go. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye.